Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Damn Good Cards by Dan and Dave Buck. They've been teasing these decks for a few weeks now. Went up for sale on January 1st, and they're available both individually and as a box set like I have here. I'll leave a link down in the description where you can grab a deck for yourself too. So, quick details before we open them. They are all printed by USPCC on thin crushed stock. If you've used any other decks from Dan and Dave or Art of Play, that's the stock I'm talking about. The tucks, they have no seal, so we don't have to worry about that tacky sticker getting in the way. They did come wrapped in cellophane. I took it off just for this so we don't have to go through that whole unwrapping phase for all the decks. The cards themselves are said to have thin white borders, and the faces are standard USPCC designs. Now, we're going to get a close-up look at the cards in just a second, but it's key to point out those last two things. There's no seal on the tuck, and they have standard faces. What does that mean for us? That means for Dan and Dave, the decks are cheaper to produce, but that means they're cheaper for us to buy, which is fantastic. To quote the product page, finally an affordable deck for those serious about cards. I picked up this box set here at $8 a deck. That's the cheapest I've ever seen a deck from Dan and Dave. Let's see if the cards themselves hold up to the standard or if the price is kind of on point. So we have 6 decks here, and they're actually numbered 1 through 6. We have this cool sticker that comes in the box. Damn Good Cards, guaranteed by Dan and Dave. Let's see if that guarantee holds up. We have decks 1 through 6. Let's actually start numerically. Let's go with deck number 1. Damn Good Cards. Slide that right there. So this tuck, it's a matte finish. There is no embossing, no foiling. We just have design around the Dan and Dave logo, of course. Like I mentioned, thin crushed, no seal, and white border. That's pretty neat. Now this back design, deck number 1's deck pattern is designed after coffee beans. So if we look, you can kind of pick that up. It's got a beanie vibe, I guess. Let's actually take a look at the cards themselves. Ooh, Thin Crushed is a registered trademark of the United States Playing Card Company. Good to know. No printing inside the tuck. That would increase the cost, of course. Set that right up there for now. So let's look at the back design. We can see that this pattern here, these coffee beans, is a symmetrical design. That means even if the card is reversed, the pattern still holds. That's a good feature for cardistry. This deck was made, for cardists. It's also good for those who dislike one-way decks. I see a lot in the community who are really against those one-way patterns. Drop a comment down below of your preference towards one-way back designs. Me, myself, depending on the day, my mood will change to be for or against them. Today, I'm kind of impartial. I like this design. This is not minimal, but it's not flashy. It's not too crazy. It is that thin crushed stock. Nice. How about the faces, though? Okay. All right. So one thing to know, these are all 56 card decks. So that means they'll have 2 jokers, 2 ad cards, and the standard 52 playing cards. Let's see. These would be the jokers. The jokers have quotes. Ralph Waldo Emerson and Margaret Mead. Nice. Cool. Believe that. Look at that. Ace of Spades. I've seen that design before. That's pretty interesting. Now, if you've ever looked at USPCC and designing like your own deck or anything, you'll know the different price options. You can have standard faces, which these all appear to have, but you can customize the ad cards. You can customize the Ace of Spades and the jokers, and of course the back design. But these other cards, they stay standard. This would be similar to any of the kind of bicycle deck cards you would get, which is a standard USPCC printing. Nice. Okay, we can fly through those. They're pretty basic. One of the ad cards, Dan and Dave, and another is Art of Play. Pretty cool. I want to see. Oh, it almost blends right in. I like my desk for that reason. So these are the coffee bean deck number 1. Leave right there. Let's just go straight into deck number 2. Deck number 2, also damn good cards. Same kind of tuck design idea. Deck number 2 is patterned after a kalimba. A kalimba is an African instrument. You might have seen them. They have these thin metal kind of rectangular keys. You see them here. They're often a wooden board. You pluck the little pieces of metal and it plays a tune. Okay, I like this. All right, so it seems like we'll get different quotes in each of the decks for the different jokers. Mitch Hedberg, love the comedian, wish he was still around, and Balzac, nice. And a similar ace of spades. Now, standard faces, they shouldn't change any, and the ad cards look the same as well. Now, that pattern, is it also symmetrical? It's hard to tell with, this one is a little busier with all the little lines, but I don't know, it feels nice to me. Let's see. Oh my goodness. You know, I love the thin crush stock because right out of the box it's broken in. You don't have to worry about rubbing it on your jeans to wear it in a little bit. You don't have to worry about doing a bunch of springs and things. Yeah, let's keep going. Deck number 3, Red Lotus. You know, that's the pattern here. Doesn't really need too much explanation. Bill Murray. If you can ever need a good quote, that's the man to go to. And Gourmand. You know, one of these decks, I hope I just open it and it's surprising with maybe a different card here, but that's not the point of these decks. These decks are here to be used. They're here for us to be able to use them and be able to afford them. Nice. Straight on to number 4. Now, do you know what this pattern is? Because I don't. I know what the deck name is, or the what it's patterned after. It's a beatnik. A beatnik. Honestly, the beatniks don't really have a design or a pattern themselves. They're more of a vibe. Beatniks, they were part of the social movement back in the 1950s. And this pattern doesn't represent beatniks, but when I look at this, it gives off a vibe of, honestly, vintage. It is green. I'm not sure if you can tell. Even for me, this looks kind of like a dark black, but the tuck looks more green to me. Maybe it's the same. Yeah, our jokers, we have 2 quotes. Beautiful. And we have our face cards. Let's see. You know, if this were a good deck, it'd fare nicely. And if it were a damn good deck, it would look good too. And if I were good at handling cards, I would have made that look even better. Let's give it one more try, huh? One more try to claim victory. Always mess up one card at least. That's not bad. That is very, very busy. This might look better in one of these other decks, but I don't mind. Cool. All right. Deck number 5, a sawtooth pattern. Oh, so what we didn't look at in 4 and 3. 3, obviously symmetrical. It's a 2-way design. Deck 4, extremely busy, but you can tell by looking at the corners and the top rows and the bottom, it's one-way design. Sawtooth, on the other hand, this is two-way. Sorry, this is a one-way deck. These are two. Let's look at the quotes real quick. Beautiful. We should live by these words. And of course, standard pattern. But the back. Look at this sawtooth. Which way's up, which way's down? Flat edge and then jagged. You see how this corner here, jagged edges are pointed out, flat edges at the bottom. That means if I were to turn a card, that pattern no longer matches. So I can place that anywhere in the deck and lose it. And then if I were to just go through, I can find your card just by looking for the pattern that doesn't match. Pretty cool, huh? Nice. Interesting that they decided to do a one-way design. But let's take a look. Last but not least, deck number 6. This is called the Orwell deck. The Orwell deck, inspired by, or an homage possibly, or just a reference to George Orwell's book, 1984. The eye pattern here. The eye pattern here is representing the eye of Big Brother. If you haven't read the book, I recommend it, but that's not what we're here for. Our quotes. Beautiful. And our standard faces. I just love the feeling of that stock. I can't get over it. It has been a while since I've used actual bicycle cards. I've gone through a lot of these more custom decks, and I'm getting really used to this thin stock. I need to get back to some of the older roots and see what the original decks felt like. The original ones being the ones I played with originally. That way I can really appreciate the difference between these. Thin Crush, that is a natural kind of bend there. It should bend out. Okay. The ad cards, it's probably the extra ink on the black, causing that natural little break in the cards. Could be useful. Could actually be useful to always be able to cut. And that about sums it up, folks. In my opinion, these are in fact damn good cards. To see more of these decks, check out my Instagram page. It's @gbabbitts. I also put the link down in the description. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button and subscribe to keep seeing more videos like this one. I'll catch you next time, YouTube.